Monday, the 10th of October, 2022, and I don't work hard. I honestly don't. I'm going to tell you why in a moment, because something happened to me last week and I had a moment up there which made me think, yes, I don't really work hard. Sometimes I might kid on that I do, but the truth, we're going to come to it. But first of all, oh my goodness, I've not got the right button pressed. Why has it not worked? There it is. I need to press that one.
It's the start of the week. Grab your coffee cups. It's Magic Monday Live.
Magic Monday. It is the best day of the week, really, isn't it? And I've worked this weekend. Now, the reason I've worked this weekend was because last week I had a trip. I had not a little trip, it was a big trip, really. I had a family trip. 7 of us went to Portugal, and we had a most brilliant time. It was me and Christine and I, our daughter Sarah and her partner Rupert, our son Michael and his partner Sarah, lots of Michaels and Sarahs, and our granddaughter Ella. And we had 7 days of fun in the sun and reading books and playing on the beach and having lovely meals, and it was just absolutely fabulous. However, we were talking about working and about working hard. And I have a reputation that I'm a real hard worker. I'm a grafter. I do loads of work, and I'm create loads of content, and I'm really putting it out there. And I do lots of different things. I'm writing books. I also teach people how to write books. I run a thing called Team 17, which is a private coaching group. If you're not a member of Team 17, why not? You should be. It's brilliant. I also do individual coaching with people. I work with 3 clients at a time. I've got some slots coming up in January if you ever want to have. This has turned out to be a big pitch for me if you're interested in coaching. And I also do speaking and training. So I'm doing quite a bit. Oh, and on top of all of that, then I am one of those people who loves to kind of just help out with certain things and do, if I can help somebody, then I want to, and I will. But that's not hard work. And the reason why it's not hard work is because of 2 things. One, I love it. I absolutely love it. And to be able to get an income from doing probably about 2/3 of that stuff I've just described there is absolutely amazing. It really is a joy, and I can't believe it. It's kind of one of those pinch yourself type things. And I know a lot of people don't particularly enjoy their jobs. They don't love it. Do you love it? Let me know. Pop to me in the comments. Or do you hate it? Or so people go to work for different reasons, don't they? Some people go because it's a means to an end. They have to. And hats off to anybody who is just working because they have to. Other people, they have good moments and bad moments, and the good kind of outweigh the bad. So generally, it's all right. And then there's other people who are fortunate like me who absolutely love what they do so much they cannot believe it that they get to go and do it every day. But that's not the real reason why I don't believe that I work hard. It's because of what real hard work looks like. So I was reading a couple of books while I was away, and one of them talked about mining. And there was 2 different times in mining that I was reading about. And one was the very, very early days in the early 1900s, 1912, I think it was. And they were talking about what happened in these pits in Wales. Now, I'm from a mining community. Lots of people around me were involved with mining. My grandfather was a miner. Christine's grandfather was a miner. Our daughter-in-law, her dad was a miner until not that long ago, really. And mining, when you hear about the work that went into mining, particularly in those early days, was just absolutely extraordinary. The shifts, the danger, the conditions, the graft, the physical graft of everybody, and doing it all underground. And there's some things that I didn't know. Like, did you know that in the old days, when, I don't know if this happened in the more recent ones, but I know it happened in the early 1900s, when the lift dropped down the shaft, they didn't kind of just release it like that. They would release it and it would just drop, and then they would whack the brakes on as they got closer to the bottom. So you would free fall. Imagine your first day at work. You'd probably be 12 or 13 years old, going for your first day at work down a pit, and suddenly you're there, and this thing just drops. Oh my goodness, it's unimaginable, really, absolutely unimaginable. And then can you imagine what it was like being down there, and the rats and the water and the smell and the risk and the chance of explosion and all those things. Just have a cup of tea. Hang on. I made myself a very good cup of tea, but I made it a little bit late. I thought I would have had a chance to drink it all before I started, and I didn't. So now it's at that point where I'm going, just don't leave me tea. You know what it's like, don't you, when you get a really good cup of tea? And anywho, but then the next thing I read was just a piece, just a short story written by a miner from kind of modern times, from the 1980s. And loads of the things that happened in the early part of the it's not the early, it's earlier part of the 20th century, the 1900s, was still pretty much happening. Falls, rock falls and stuff like that. And they used to prefer to have the wooden, I've forgotten the name, the wooden things up on the top, the wooden pit props, the props and the things across the top. Yeah, they preferred the wooden ones because as they would start to creak, if there was going to be a collapse, they would hear it more than the metal ones. And they still had that whole thing about 2 foot high seams and getting coal out from 2 foot high seams. Can't really even do 2 foot on here. My grandfather, when he was mining, he used to mine under the sea, and they would have an 18-inch seam. So I can do that one. That's 18 inches, 1.5 foot, 18-inch seam, and I'll do it back a little bit. There we go. 18-inch seam, of which 9 inches was water, and they had to hold their heads up out of the water and use a pick behind their heads to be able to get the coal and then push it around, and then it would be scooped out through the water. And the water was seawater because they were under the sea. And they could hear ships going over the top. They could hear the propellers of ships rattling through. Can you imagine doing that? I mean, I can't get my head around what that would be like. And Christine's grandfather, he would do the explosives stuff. And he would be like imagine causing deliberate explosions underground. So he'd be doing that. And then he became a bricklayer. And bricklayers were building up, these permanent places and sealing off certain seams and doing all that type of stuff. All the stuff happened to be taken down, mixed up, done. And then, but not bricklaying like standing up like that, bricklaying down and in and oh my goodness. So I don't work hard. And then the final thing to say about this was a friend of mine, Gary Smith. Gary watches these sometimes, so you might be watching. If you're watching, Gary, hello. Once went to see an old pit, and they talked about the work that they did there. And for about the first 10, 15 minutes of the conversation, they talked about pit ponies and about, these ponies, and they would be down in the pit and they would be dragging these things and would be doing that. And everyone was, oh yeah, it's terrible, terrible, terrible. And, it kind of is. But Gary got a bit upset and he said, excuse me, can I just ask a question? What about the men? And she was quite flabbergasted. The person who was the guy said, sorry, says, what about the men? You've talked for the last 10 minutes about pit ponies. What about the men? Hats off to Gary for pointing that out. So I don't think that I work hard. I get an opportunity to do stuff that I love every single day. I don't have to go down a pit. We don't have many pits or any pits in the UK now, but there are still pits all over the world. And there are people who are going down, some people in really, really awful conditions. And other people actually who do quite physical stuff, and other people who do stuff that they don't really love, and other people who care for folk who it's just a challenge and a scrap every single day that they have to do it. And hats off to everybody who is a real grafter, because it's not me. And with that, I have to go because I've got another call literally started 30 seconds ago and I'm not on it. So we'll see you soon. Leave your comments. I will read them all later. Promise. Bye.